The following is Rainier's, Mark's, CJ's, Brenna's, and Ethan's submission for the final presentation video for Dr. B's Fall 2022 Econ 250 AMA class. A big thank you goes out to Edo Japan. We hope you enjoy this video.
What's up guys, Ethan with Team 4 here, welcome back to the channel. In this video we'll be discussing the different aspects of microeconomics and how they influence Edo Japan. First there will be an introduction. This section will provide some information on the beginning of the Well Loved franchise, as well as provide some brief insights into the operation of the business today. After that, Brenna will be covering the basic principles of microeconomics as well as the relevance. She'll be explaining how supply and demand impact Edo Japan. We will then have Mark explain to us why Edo must act in accordance with these principles. Key concepts such as price floors and ceilings, as well as elasticity, are at the forefront of this information. After Mark, Rainier will be describing how short and long-run costs are crucial to consider for both the current success and planning of Edo Japan. CJ will then be describing the various market systems and which of these systems Edo Japan falls into. After all this information is presented, I will be giving some suggestions as to how Edo Japan can increase their success level from both the consumer and the business point of view. And finally, a conclusion will provide a brief summarization and our closing statement. Reverend Ikuta came to Canada from Japan. In 1979, the first Edo Japan restaurant was opened. The Buddhist leader aimed to provide for the community, as well as offer a source of nourishment by serving traditional Teppan-style meals with a signature teriyaki sauce. 2 years later, a second restaurant was opened in Edmonton. After evaluating the success of the two stores, Ikuta decided to officially franchise Edo. Fast forward to present day, Edo Japan has over 155 locations across Canada, which serve more than 10 million meals annually. According to their website, they plan to continue expansion with new locations opening soon. In 1999, Ikuta stepped away from the organization as he was appointed to Bishop of the Buddhist Churches of Canada. Tom Donaldson would assume the role of CEO, a position he would hold until his 2016 retirement. Today, an individual by the name of Dave Manette is the CEO.
Hi, my name is Brenna, and today we'll be talking about the demand for Edo Japan today. I'll show you a map of where Edo restaurants are located in Calgary, and we'll discuss whether there is adequate demand in this region. By demand, we mean if there is year-round or is it just a seasonal demand for the products it offers, as well as whether that demand is expected to increase in the future. Now, what happens if Edo increases the price of its teriyaki chicken? Because of the income effect, customers are more likely to choose a dish on the menu that is less expensive. It is because their purchasing power is limited. Now, as a result, the demand for the teriyaki chicken changes. Additionally, there is a chance that consumers would buy their food from other establishments that provided for a less expensive alternative, which will reduce the sales of Edo's teriyaki chicken. Now that is an example of the substitution effect. Now let's talk about what makes Edo's teriyaki chicken unique compared to its competitors. It is their teriyaki sauce that distinguishes them. Now let's use that teriyaki sauce as an example of market demand. What will happen if Edo's entire line is based on this sauce and then there is a sudden shortage? To accommodate their customers, Edo will have to modify the amount of sauce that they give for each serving of the teriyaki chicken. And if there is a surplus, they have the opportunity to give extra servings of their renowned sauce. In Calgary alone, Edo has experienced a rise in its annual revenue over the past 15 years. It went from $10 million to $90 million. Edo was able to accomplish this because they had more storefronts, which allowed them to supply their products to their clients. With their ambitious expansion across Western Canada, its current CEO and President Tom Donaldson projected that they would reach $100 million in sales within 2 years.
Chapter 3: Demand and Supply, an Elaboration. In this chapter, the topics that stuck with us are the concepts of price ceiling and price floor. And in this case, we're going to use price floor and the minimum wage as an example for Edo Japan. We all know that in Alberta, the minimum wage is $15 an hour. And according to the Economic Research Institute of 2022, the average salary of a fast food worker is $15 an hour. And if we can check Edo Japan's salaries for fast food workers, we can see that they abide by this minimum wage law. For grill cooks and line cooks, they are earning $15 an hour and the cashier is earning $16 an hour. Chapter 4 Elasticity. Edo Japan is considered a fast food restaurant, and according to Mariam Faude 2017, price elasticity of fast food restaurants is considered to be price elastic. This means that the quantity demanded for it is sensitive to the changes in its price. And according to Syra and Morris 2021, there are several determinants of price elasticity, and these are number of substitutes, percentage of income spent on it, and time period involved. For the case of Edo Japan, we all know that there are a lot of substitutes across Calgary, and we don't spend a lot of time thinking on where to eat for our fast food cravings. According to Schwartz 2019, fast food restaurants can be considered income elastic. This means that the income elasticity coefficient is more than 1. And for Edo Japan, we can consider them as a normal good, as normally consumers do not consider fast food as a luxury good. However, according to Kim 2011, there is a specific target market that can be considered that fast food can have negative income elasticity. This means that fast food can be considered an inferior good since this specific target market considers fine dining restaurants as their normal good.
So this is my topic for chapter 6. I am considering why is Edo Japan not a short run. So when a company is considered a short run, its leases, contracts, and wage agreements limit a firm's ability to adjust production to maintain a rate of profit. The average food price for Edo Japan can range around $11 to $14, and that reflects on the hourly wages of different positions that are working for the restaurant. If the demand for Edo Japan is lower than expected each year, the branch can just simply cut down on resources or branches, as well as because of the price on how much they open it to operate. Edo Japan is considered to be a long run instead because they can be flexible in expanding or shrinking their operations according to the changes in demand. Then, how can Edo Japan reach minimum efficient scale? For them to reach the minimum efficient scale, I think the branches of Edo Japan are sufficient regarding not having too much loss when they decide to cut down on some resources, mainly closing some branches if it's absolutely necessary. If the branches are not generating much profit, they can temporarily close the branch until they find more strategies to get more customers, allowing for the branch to recover the expenses or loss in revenue. So how do we determine if they have too many branches in Calgary? They have at least enough locations to provide for their consumers so they do not have to drive all the way across the city just to purchase from Edo Japan. Some businesses of Edo Japan are making profits even though they have lots of other stores around Calgary because some of the competition might be lacking the resources in their menu, or maybe the other restaurants are not popular enough to compete with Edo Japan's prices and the food that they are offering. And also, what happened to the staff after the pandemic? Numerous food service workers have been let go, dismissed, or had their working time cut because of the lockdowns and severe limitations of COVID-19 has placed on operations. The pandemic has had a particularly negative impact on the food services sector of the economy. Thousands of food service producers, suppliers, distributors, and staff members were all impacted by the virus. Sales of food service fell to their lowest levels, and since then, they have fluctuated greatly.
Hi guys, this is Christopher and welcome to Group 4 channel. So in the previous slides, Rainier, Brenna, and Mark discussed about chapters 1 to 7. Now, I will be discussing about chapters 8, 10, and 11 which focus on types of market, monopoly, and monopolistic competition in relate to Edo Japan. So first, how do we categorize Edo Japan in type of market? Definitely, it is not a perfect competition because unlike sugar, coffee, wheat, Edo Japan offers varieties of products like sushis, teriyaki bowls, bento boxes, which caters different preferences of customers. It is not the same as the competition in the market because Edo Japan is both Japanese cuisine and a fast food chain. It is an easy entry in the market penetration and also offers franchising, which contradicts the meaning of oligopoly and monopoly. It has no power to discriminate other restaurants, and it can increase the sales without decreasing the price. So, having said those reasons, where can we categorize Edo's type of market? Definitely, based on our research, Edo Japan falls under monopolistic competition. Why? Here are some reasons. Number 1. According to food policy for Canada in year 2022, it has concentration ratio of 35%, which is less than 40% against the 4 biggest competitor in the market. Number 2. 60% of Edo's total number of restaurants are owned privately by independent individual, wherein Edo accumulate only portion of the total sales. Edo is very open for franchising, which makes a freedom of entry in the market. And last, Edo Japan can set its own price and does not take market prices as given. Based on what I eat together with all Group 4 members, we can see that we are paying for the quality of product, not only for the brand, for its brand name, unlike other restaurants. So now, I will show to you the short-run and long-run equilibrium in monopolistic competition. So as you can see in the graph above, there's a two set of prices given. So one is 10.40 and one is 9.20. So what are they? 9.20 is the cost and the 10.40 is the price. So as long as the price is greater than the cost, we can have economic profit. As you can see also in the graph, at 10.40, there lies the equilibrium wherein the MR is equal to MC, that's where we want to be. We can see that we can maximize the demand up to 5,000, wherein, for example, we increase the price for 18.25, which you can see also in the graph. The demand will be shifting to 2,150, which can cause the marginal revenue to go down. So that's not where we want to be. Okay, so and in the long run graph below, you can see that as the new firms enter, the availability of substitute for Edo Japan will increase, which will reduce the demand facing Edo Japan and make the demand curve for Edo Japan more elastic. Its demand curve will shift to the left, and any shift in the demand curve shifts the marginal revenue curve as well. So as you can see there, the demand shift from 5,000 to 4,867, and we cannot see economic profit anymore. So in the long run, monopolistic competition in the presence of many substitutes like Sushi Ginza, Kinjo, Tokyo, which are all competitors of Edo Japan, we can only see normal profit and maybe leading to economic loss or profit loss eventually.
Considering our analysis, we'd like to offer two suggestions from each the consumer and business viewpoints. For the consumer, the first recommendation is to advertise new products and locations on a greater scale. Edo Japan's made it clear that they are determined to continuously make their products more available with the opening of new location and products. In order to ensure their profits match their costs increase, they need to attract a proportionate amount of customers. The second recommendation is to clearly establish the identity of the restaurants. What I mean by this is when I was asked to describe the quality of Edo Japan, I didn't really know what to say. Lots of their branches seem to run a fast food style operation, while some of them are just a little bit nicer to sit in and eat. This is important to determine whether their product should be seen as a normal good or an inferior good. From the business viewpoint, the first recommendation is to make sure that they do not exceed their limitations to the point where they experience diseconomies of scale. With the commitment to expansion, they run the danger of providing too much supply and driving the demand for their products down. The final recommendation for Edo Japan is to marginally increase employee wages to attract more qualified workers. Edo has more financial stability than many of the mom and pop type competitors, so if they can attract a proportionate amount of business to the marginal wage increase, they could help drive down their competition. In conclusion, supply and demand, elasticity, short and long run costs, and operation within the appropriate market system are all determining factors in whether or not a firm will be successful. Edo Japan is no exception, and since they operate within a monopolistic competition, they must act accordingly. Edo is aware of these conditions, and thus they have been successful to date. They've blossomed into a well-respected Canadian franchise, yet if they were to stop following the appropriate economic principles, it would only be a matter of time before their long-running success began to wither.
Here, we're just going to take a quick look at the sources of our information. I would also like to give a special shout out to the lovely lady at the aviation crossing location that took our title slide photo for us. Did not quite catch her name, but thought she deserved the recognition. Once again, shout out Aviation Crossing.
Thanks, guys. Make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe. So that's from me, though. Take care.